Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to today's Yin practice. As far as props, having a bolster will be handy for today. And if you don't have a bolster, then you can use a cushion. You could also potentially use a heart block. So maybe have a few props around. I'll invite you to get started in legs up pose. So if you have your bolster nearby, and then you can head down onto the back and take a moment to arrive. And once you do, with the feet roughly underneath the knees, press the hips up so you can slide your bolster underneath the pelvis. And take a moment to find a place that feels really comfortable. If it feels like it's about to slide out or if it's more under your spine, it may not work once the legs go up. So when you do feel ready, you can bend one knee in towards the chest and then the other. One option is to stay here, almost like child's pose, but on the back. You can even wrap your arms around your knees. Or if you like to extend the legs up towards the ceiling, then go for it. And straight away, you may have an idea of what might feel a little more comfortable for your prop. And one of the intentions of using the prop is to make this feel more effortless. If you prefer to skip it altogether or use a blanket or something thinner, then you're welcome to do that also. And then see, the legs can be all the way extended if you prefer to keep even a slight bend to the knees. See what feels best for the feet. You could even find a little movement if you like. And then see what feels good for the arms. Maybe you want to reach the arms up towards the ceiling. Maybe they want to rest on the floor overhead. Maybe you want to keep them on the body or by your sides. And just like with the legs, find a sense, if the arms are reaching towards the ceiling, find a sense of lightness. If you want to even let the wrists go, let them flop any way that they like. And once you've settled into your shape, gently deepen the breath. Guide your attention through the body and notice what's going on, what this feels like. When you feel ready to move on from the shape, gently release the arms and rebend the knees into the chest. You might stay here, you might give yourself a little rock side to side. And when you feel ready, you can lower the feet and lift the hips to slide the bolster out of the way. And once the pelvis touches down to the floor, hug the knees back into the chest. Gently rock along the spine a few times. Awesome. And then build a little momentum and come up to find a seat. We'll keep the legs extended out in front, and I'm going to offer for you to use the bolster underneath the knees. So keeping just a little bend to the knees. If you need something for the hips as well, then you might add a little height, or you might scoop the flesh of the bum out of the way. Now take a moment to notice the body here before you go anywhere else. And when you feel ready, we're going to add on a fold here. So you can start to bring your chest in towards the thighs, and at the same time start to let the head get really heavy, rounding the whole back body as you bend forward. And then see where you want to end up, and then see what kind of a place that is. If you settle in somewhere that feels a little bit intense, we will hold this shape for a little while. So if it feels intense now, it will likely feel a lot more intense in a little bit, but also maybe not. So feel free to play. Notice what your experience of the shape is in this moment. Notice what this feels like in all the different parts of the body. Notice how you feel to feel that way. As always, making sure to stay within what you can tolerate. If you're feeling pain, or if you're feeling something sharp or electric, notice what your body's trying to tell you. Maybe a slightly different fold would feel more comfortable or would serve you better for this last minute or so in this shape. Of course, the option is to come out any time that you need to. With the support of the hands, as you feel ready, gently start to unravel the body once again, making your way up. And then pause when you arrive. You might roll the shoulders a couple times. If you like to lean back on the hands and puff the chest up for a counter stretch, then go for it. And when you feel ready to release the legs, you can move your bolster to the side. It might feel nice to windshield wiper a little bit here. You can also tap the backs of the knees or shake the ankles out. Awesome. And from here, we'll transition to a standard standing forward bend. So you can transition there any way you like. No particular way to arrive. And when you do, set yourself up so we'll actually take the legs mostly extended, but see if that means that you need a little more support through the hands, in which case you can use either hard blocks or maybe your bolster again to have a little more support here if it feels like you're getting in too deep. And of course, the option is there to bend the knees as much as you need as well. And then when you're ready, just let the spine start to get really heavy, let the head get really heavy. If you need your hands somewhere for support, maybe they're on a prop, maybe they're on the legs or somewhere else on the body. If you don't need the arms for support, then you can also think about de-weighting them, maybe hands to opposite elbows. You can clasp the hands behind the skull, adding a little weight to the head as well. You can make earmuffs with the hands. That will affect the spine a little bit differently. You can also interlace hands at the low back or any other variation. But let the spine be really heavy. And notice you might be feeling this more through the backs of the legs as opposed to a little more through the back of the spine, like we were in the seated position. So just notice what this feels like. Notice if the mind starts to wander in the shape. Let's see if you can bring your attention back to the breath and back to what you're experiencing here. We're here for about 1 more minute. And of course, if at any point you find yourself in too deep or ready to come out, then listen to your body and do whatever you need. When you feel ready to exit the pose, we'll start to come out. We're going to head back down to the floor. If you prefer to come through a halfway lift, go for it. Or you might just start to bend the knees here, keep the chest to the thighs, and then lower the bum down to the floor. Awesome. And then from here, if you want to stay seated for a little while, then go for that if it feels like a better transition for you. Otherwise, we're going to lower all the way down onto the back. From here, if you have your bolster, bring it near the right hand side. Extend the right leg long, bend the left knee, and then scoot the hips over to the left a few inches. You can guide the left knee across the body over towards the right and perhaps onto your bolster. And if this twist doesn't feel good in your body for any reason, take your favorite twist here. Gently make your way back to center. Lower the left foot down, rebend the right knee, scoot the hips to midline. If you were using your bolster on the first side, then bring it onto the second side, left side. You can extend the left leg, hips to the right a few inches, and then right knee across towards the left. And take a moment to set yourself up however this feels best in your body. Gently making your way out. Rebending the knees, hugging the hips to midline. And from here, as you're ready, press down through the feet, lift the pelvis, and once again, we'll slide the bolster across the mat underneath the pelvis. We'll find that same spot that feels steady for you. And then from here, option to keep the knees bent exactly as they are, or we'll start to walk the feet forward, finding a counter stretch for those forward bends. And then if you want, you can add the arms on, extending the arms up overhead, and choosing any comfortable expression of this as well. Just mindful if you start to feel pins and needles, or if it gets really tingly in the shoulders, you might choose to lower the arms down sooner. See if maybe you need a little more time here. You're welcome to stay longer. Otherwise, as you feel ready, you can release the arms back down to the sides and slowly walk the feet back in. And pressing the feet down to lift the pelvis, sliding your bolster off to one side, and then lowering the pelvis, pausing here. Maybe take the feet wide and the knees together. Hands can be on the body or beside it. And then as you're ready, we'll come up just to set up for our final pose. And we'll come to rest in a restorative fish pose today. So you can place your bolster, or whatever you're using as a bolster, lengthwise down on the mat, and then come to sit just in front of it. If you are using a pillow that's really thick, you might also use a soft block or a blanket or something, just so that it doesn't feel steep for the low back. And then when you're ready, start to lower the spine down onto whatever prop you're using. If you need something a little longer to support the head, then maybe add something else as well. And then see what feels good for the arms here. Does it feel nice to cactus them? Does it feel nice to lower them by your sides or something else? You can always change this up sooner if you need to. Gently bring your attention back to the space. Wiggle the fingers and the toes a little bit. Maybe a gentle rock of the head. And then from here, lower down onto one side, just so that you can move the bolster out of the way. And then coming back onto your back for a moment. You can keep the legs extended. If it feels more comfortable to bend them, go for it. And let the spine be flat to the floor. Take a few breaths, and if it feels nice to roll the head side to side, go for that. If there's any other part of the body that's craving a little movement, then go for it. Awesome. And then from here, as you're ready, we'll meet up in a seat. So you can either rock up or roll up and take your time to transition. And eventually coming up to find any comfortable seated position. If you like to sit up off of a prop, then go for it. And take a moment to settle the hips, to lengthen the spine. The hands can stay where they are, connect in front of the heart. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. And again, my name is Nicholas. If you have any questions, please let me know. And have a great evening.